Hello and welcome back to another video. This is the 6th episode of story in which before his death, Minato had created a tool that was meant to succeed the Hiraishin. But now that he's passed it on to his kid, what will Naruto do with the power to control time and space? Please smash the like and subscribe buttons. Let's get started. Now at the beginning of the next match, both Hinata and Chuji stared off at each other sitting back in their respective fighting stances as they gauged each other. Chuji had mixed feelings about this fight. He was confident he had the advantage considering the Hyuga's Juken was not really intended to fight techniques of the Akimichi clan seeing as they had the ability to alter their size, offsetting their chakra points. Of course he was aware of some of the other Hyuga techniques. But he was confident that his attacks were capable of crushing right through them with brute force. If she could hear Chuji's train of thought, Hinata would more or less be in agreement. Chuji-kun is much stronger than me in terms of power and I'm certain his bullet tank technique would break my Kaden. So narrowing her eyes a bit, I'll have to fight this smart and bide my time till I find an opening. Go Hinata-chan. You can do it, cheered Naruto from the participants area. Shikamaru who had just recently arrived leaned over the edge as he watched his friend's match. Come on Chuji, you got this one. Sakura and Shino remained silent as they watched from their seats. Hanabi watched with great interest to how her sister would do. Hinata Nizan. During this time, Hayashi had just returned as he took his seat next to his youngest daughter. Hey Minato. Hinata-chan is up. I can't wait to see what she can do, said Kushina barely able to stay in her seat at the excitement of seeing her son's girlfriend up to fight. Being their kid, she ought to be something special. Minato nodded his head at this. This match should be rather interesting for several reasons, but primarily because it's peculiar. Unusually I don't think there has ever been any notable match between the Hyuga and Akimichi clan. Simply for this reason, no one entirely knows how this is going to turn out. I definitely believe Hinata-chan is going to win this. But I wouldn't count out Chuza's kid either. Now for the rest of the crowd another round of betting went about. But as for the odds, it was an even split between Hinata and Chuji as no one really had any solid idea who would win this. Please don't do that again, sighed Kiba. You almost got us thrown out by security. But it wasn't fair, screeched Ino. It was obvious Shikamaru should have won. Just let it go. You should have known better that he was going to give up anyways. But for now let's just see how the rest of this tournament turns out. Well, I'm certain this time that Chuji would win. I just know it. Then I'm going to bet everything I have on Hinata then. Ino's eyebrow perched at this. Is it because she's your teammate? Because I'm pretty sure you should know that Chuji is a lot stronger than her when it comes to taijutsu and ninjutsu. I know Hinata is strong, but still does she really stand a chance against Chuji? Kiba gave a smirk to this. Don't let Hinata's appearance deceive you. She's a lot tougher than she looks. Besides, as he rubbed his left hand's thumb and index finger together in front of Ino, you were wrong about Niji winning and you were wrong about Shikamaru winning. I'm going for a 3-for-3 against you, he then laughed which earned him a smack from the blonde. Now back on the arena grounds, Chuji began manipulating some seals as he figured he might as well start things big and hopefully ends things quickly. Upon finishing his seal, Bullet Tank no Jutsu, as his body bulged up like a giant ball. Then ducking his head and limbs in, he began to roll out. At seeing the incoming attack, Hinata had no choice but to run for it. In this particular case, sidestepping would have been the best response as it wasted the least amount of physical stamina which also allowed her to easily maintain focus on her opponent. However, he's fast. Chuji-kun is much faster than he was a month ago. The husky ninja was literally the rolling ball of death as he was bowling down anything that got in his way. Trees and rocks were easily crushed as Chuji turned back around for another swing. At seeing this, I can't do this forever. I have to get him to stop somehow. But it was easier said than done. Even the obstacles on the field weren't slowing him down. Hell, even the wall he crashed into didn't stop him for long. But looking at her options, she needed to take a chance in slowing him down. So digging deep she called out her technique, Kaiten. But for this particular case she was pouring out more power than she was used to while trying to keep the sphere as small and dense as possible to compensate for the raw physical kinetic force she was soon going to encounter. Upon contact, Chuji felt considerable resistance as his technique collided against Hinata's. As the two techniques challenged each other, everyone in the stadium could feel the forces pulsating as the two rotational techniques grinded against each other. However, it was obvious one of them had to give, to which after a moment one of them did. As Hinata's Kaiten was shattered, sending her flying back as she collided into the ground. For a moment she laid there unresponsive, but soon started to get up again, slightly shaking at what had happened as her eyes narrowed a bit as she tried to keep her eyes opened. "Please surrender," said Chuji as he let go of his technique, returning back to his original state. "From this exchange you should know you can't win anymore. So please surrender now before things get worse." But truthfully he had to admit Hinata's earlier stunt was not without effect. It didn't do that much damage, to which at worst he had a nasty skin burn. This being the case, he didn't want to hurt Hinata any further, in reflection to his kind nature of not wanting to hurt a friend. But then, taking a deep breath, the Hyuga heiress calmed herself as she looked to Chuji. "I'm sorry, Chuji-kun, but I refuse to surrender. I've worked too hard and have come too far to let it end like this. So until the very end, I won't give up no matter what." "Yeah, Hinata-chan. You can do it," cheered Naruto. "Until the very end, huh," said Sakura quietly to herself as she was somewhat awed by Hinata's determination of seeing things through to the last moment. "Hinata-sama. You're a lot stronger than what I gave you credit for," thought Niji from his seat. "Come on, Hinata-nizan," Hanabi whispered underneath her breath as Hayashi just narrowed his eyes to the match below. "You have to admit, she is a very spirited girl," smiled Kushina. "Just like her mother." "I have a feeling this is where things are about to change," then said Minato. "I understand," said Chuji as his body reinflated back into a ball-like shape. Bullet Tank no Jutsu, as he began to roll out again. At seeing the incoming attack, Hinata closed her eyes, trying to quickly contemplate her next move, to which she then thought to her friend. What would Naruto-kun do in a situation like this? Honestly, she didn't have any elaborate plan up her sleeves, as she knew Kaiten couldn't stop him. But if Naruto was fighting this battle, even if he didn't have the right technique for the situation, he was always good with improvising in order to overcome and prevail. But what could she possibly do in this situation? But that's when it hit her. It's what I've been practicing this entire month. I shouldn't be trying to compete against Chuji-kun's power. But rather I should be taking advantage of it. As her eyes snapped back open, she charged against the rolling ball of death, to which at the last possible moment she jumped as high as she could, which earned her a gasp from the audience above. Where did she go, thought Chuji as he couldn't sense where Hinata went. As he rolled around the field, he couldn't understand where she had gone. Left? Right? Front? Back? Where did she go? But at the slightest tingling sensation he felt, he knew immediately where she was. She's right on top of me. At this moment the Hyuga heiress was pulling off one hell of a balancing act, getting cheers from the crowd as she was running on Chuji like a ball everywhere he rolled, as he couldn't shake her off. I have to do something about this. So picking up the pace, Chuji began to zigzag and bounce himself to shake Hinata off. But it was no good, as the pale girl was very attuned to even the slightest movement that she would immediately compensate to keep herself balanced on top. But with this being the case, I've managed to get out of harm's way. But that isn't enough. I have to get him to stop. So deciding to borrow another page from her blonde friend's book of tactics, I need to improvise. So as Chuji bounced up once again, she used this momentum to pop herself into position as she raised both her arms up with one of her knees pointed out. Using her waist to thrust her into a spin, she began her technique. Kaiten. As everyone watched, this move was unprecedented. Instead of the usual chakra-like sphere it made, it was in the form of a spinning top as it span on Chuji's technique. Even as the husky ninja tried to escape it, the top continued to follow on top of him as it grinded against him like a drill. Sharper. I must think sharper, as Hinata continued to try and tighten her chakra, making her altered version of Kaiten grow pointier as it continued to drill what was underneath it. This is beginning to hurt a lot. Chuji cringed. The rotation of his bullet tank technique was offsetting most of the damage he would have been taking. However, he was still being hit by chakra, and that was burning like crazy. Seeing it was unwise to continue his current technique any longer, he cancelled it, dive rolling forward back onto his feet as Hinata cancelled hers, getting back into her Juken stance once again. As the way things stood, he cringed at some of the chakra burns he had. However, he pushed this thought aside as he was far from finished as he quickly began preparing his next technique. I feel a bit sick, gulped Hinata. At best she was putting on a front at the moment as she wasn't used to spinning like that for so long. As a result, she felt like she wanted to throw up. But I just need a moment to straighten myself out. But she wouldn't get that time as a giant fist came rushing right at her, to which she promptly jumped away from. Upon resetting herself, Byakugan. Partial multi-size no jutsu, stated the husky ninja as he continued swinging his fists at the pale girl. But in the moment Hinata came in to counter-attack, he expanded his forearm to block her, to which her attack was nothing more than a pinprick. Although Juken was designed to plug chakra points, he knew just as well as Hinata why it wouldn't really work on him. His chakra point is too big to close up, as she narrowed her eyes at this. Normally a chakra point was only as big as a person's fingertip, to which with a little of her own chakra, she can close it up. But against Chuji, or rather the Akimichi's clan techniques, their chakra points expanded just as their bodies did. Of course it made it an easier target to get at. But considering her physique and how much power she had to use to close it up, it was extremely difficult to damn near impossible to be effective in sealing, let alone damaging Chuji whatsoever. But what do I do now? With the advantage in his favor, Chuji didn't let up as he took advantage of his partial multi-size technique as he continued to attack Hinata, backing her up as she had no effective counter against him. So jumping up, he expanded his foot while launching down, pounding a crater into the ground, shaking the arena, sending out a shockwave which hit the Hyuga heiress, sending her back from the aftershock. What overwhelming power! I guess the Akimichi clan gets this 1 inch. Well, I suppose finesse of the Hyuga clan can only go so far. Incredible, as Naruto's eyes were wide like saucers. I didn't think he would have this much destructive force in his moves. I didn't even think he was that good, then said Sakura. That's what a lot of people tend to overlook, smirked Shikamaru as he leaned against the rail next to Naruto. Chuji has always been a powerhouse of a ninja. But he's always had a self-esteem problem which limited his growth. Truthfully, he has a lot of potential to become something great. All he needed was a good kick in the right direction to get him going. With him making it to the Chunin finals, it was just the thing he needed. Naruto blinked at this. I didn't know that about him. In a strange way, Chuji was a lot like Hinata when she was younger. But after he spent some time with the Hyuga heiress, Hinata had definitely become a more outgoing person, as she didn't stutter as much anymore and was willing to speak her mind most of the time. To think. What kind of person Hinata-chan would have become if I didn't meet her. Now elsewhere amongst the audience, Hinata-Nizan, said Hanabi at seeing her sister get knocked down from her opponent's attack. Hayashi kept a neutral expression as he watched. But he wasn't disappointed at the way things were turning out. No, his feelings were rather far from it. Hinata. My daughter. You have fought greatly with both honor and pride. If you were to meet defeat on this day, I would not think any less of you at how far you have come. Come on, Hinata-chan, get up, cheered Kushina as she punched her fist into the air before sitting back down. I do hope she's okay down there. Minato had nothing to say to this as he continued to watch. But at seeing Hinata stand once more, he had a feeling that something interesting was going to happen. Ah! It hurts, as Hinata held her arms still feeling light-headed from the earlier attack. This doesn't look too good. Analyzing her options, they were not promising. Her defenses were all but crushed, she was somewhat injured, and she had no technique that could possibly make a difference now. However, there might be something I can do. But I don't know if it will work. Seeing as her options were either a crushing defeat or surrendering, she had to take a gamble and make a stand here and unveil her new technique. So altering her hand and leg formation while keeping her Byakugan active, she took her new stance. What is that? That's not Juken. What is she up to? What is this technique? What are you doing, Hinata? As Hayashi, to say the least, was completely dumbfounded at what his daughter was doing. To say the least, none of the Hyugas understood what their heiress was doing, as it was completely foreign to them. Minato, do you know what this taijutsu is? It's nothing like what I've ever seen before, said Kushina. No, answered Minato. Whatever Hinata-san is doing, it's a complete original work of hers. That's interesting, said Shino as his teammate's new stance caught his intrigue. What is Hinata doing? Questioned Sakura. With that kind of stance, she's leaving herself open to attack. Shikamaru just stared, as this was something his brilliant mind didn't understand. However, amongst everyone in the stadium, Naruto knew exactly what his pale friend was about to do. But like Hinata, he wasn't certain if it was going to work either. But he had to have faith, to which all he could do was believe that his friend could pull it off. Come on, Hinata-chan. Chuji, confused at this change of tactics, had no idea of what to think of it. Could this be some sort of retaliation against me? To which he shook his head. No, I'm so close to victory. Just one more hit and it'll be over. So going in with his giant fist, he swung quickly at her, hoping to end this soon. But then suddenly in the next moment his fist came right back at him in full swing, punching himself instead, which knocked him back quite a few as he lay on the ground dazed. Then looking up to Hinata from his position, what just happened? To which was the same question everyone was asking. To everyone that was watching, it only looked like Hinata just parried the punch, only for it to coincidentally bounce back to its attacker. But for those who were really watching, what they saw was right next to amazing if their guess was right. But not wanting to jump to conclusions yet, they continued to watch. I'm not sure what just happened. But I can't get discouraged now. I'm too close to call it quits, to which Chuji charged in once more, opting for a different attack by slamming his fists down on her. At seeing the incoming attack, the Hyuga heiress circled forward using a strange movement as she connected her wrist to Chuji's wrist, as it seemed like she pushed it aside. At seeing this happen, how did she outpower me? With this sudden change in advantage, everyone was talking. Did you see that? I thought Hyugas were all about finesse. Did she suddenly get super strong or something? What an upset! With the way the battle began to turn, Chuji wouldn't allow it as his attacks began to become more aggressive, increasing in volleys. However, as much as he attacked, Hinata was not budging an inch as he would attack, and somehow she would overpower him or throw his fist right back at him, injuring himself. Then, breathing heavily from some of the injuries he has taken, he could only ponder one single thing. What is her secret? How is she stronger than me now? There's no way I should be losing in terms of strength. As this was going on, Hinata leveled her breathing as she maintained her stance. I'm not sure how long I can keep this up. For it still stood the fact that what she was doing was still new and in its infancy stage. But to sum it up, she spent her entire month creating a completely different kind of taijutsu, to which in her opinion was better tuned to how she preferred to fight. For her taijutsu shared many qualities with Juken, but at the same time was quite different. Not to be arrogant about this, what she created was the true gentle fist. Her style completely removed the need for punches and strikes, as it favored parrying and redirection. Of course her new style was defensive in nature, but it was capable of counter-offensive force through perfect timing, concentration, and focus. To make this possible, she needed her Byakugan to watch the flow of her opponent's internal chakra circulation as she either parried or redirected it. However, her eyes began to twitch more often as time went. I can't keep my Byakugan active or I'm going to risk injuring myself. I need to end this soon. But looking to Chuji in his current state, this is the only chance I have at victory. I just need to be patient. As the battle went, Chuji continued to attack but to no effect. Seeing his options, he had two techniques he could use. But either way, this would be his last move in order to claim victory. So betting it all on this technique, he began sowing his seals, to which in the next moment he instantly grew to twice the size of the stadium, which shocked everyone watching. But at seeing this, Hinata breathed out softly as she deactivated her Byakugan while relaxing her stance. It's over. What? But that's when he felt it, as if his body was becoming electrified. In the next moment he began to shrink back to his original size. Before long he was on his hands and knees, breathing heavily as he looked to his hand. I couldn't have used up all my energy yet. But at trying to get up again, it was impossible as all his chakra was used up. Seeing as one of the participants was unable to continue, Genma called the match. Chuji is no longer able to continue. I declare Hinata the winner, to which the audience roared in cheer. But back to the arena, Hinata was amazed at what was in front of her. Chuji-kun looked so thin. As far back as the Hyuga heiress could remember, Chuji was always a rather husky person. But knowing the mechanics behind the Akimichi's clan technique, this was to be expected. However, she was still surprised at how different Chuji looked now. I lost, cringed Chuji as he gripped the ground in frustration. I worked so hard only for things to end like this. But as he was going to sink deeper into his loathing, he felt a hand on his shoulder, to which he looked up to see Hinata looking to him calmly. There's nothing to be ashamed about, Chuji-kun. You did your best and no one can say anything less of you because of that. As tears were quite apparent in his eyes, Chuji then looked around to see that even some of the audience members were cheering for him regardless of his loss. So sucking it up, he dried his eyes as he stood up to face the pale girl. Then putting on a smile of his own, "You're right. Thank you for the good match," and with that medic Nines came out to help Chuji out as Hinata soon exited right after. Since Sasuke had not returned yet, Hinata would have to go a second round next match. So in courtesy to her, an intermission time was allowed. Way to go, Hinata-chan. She did it, exclaimed Naruto as he was jumping for joy. Shikamaru could only give a soft sigh. He did his best. So I guess it was alright. Looks like I'm going to fight Hinata, huh? Said Sakura as she looked to her pouch. At least now I know how I should bet for now on, laughed Kiba as seeing Ino laying her head down in defeat to how things turned out. Incredible, Hinata Nisen actually won, said Hanabi. But then she quickly corrected herself as she gave a slight cough. I did not expect anything less. Hayashi simply gave a nod of approval. You did well, my daughter. I had my doubts of your ability to overcome your current situation. But you truly have become strong. At recalling the taijutsu Hinata used, perhaps I should consider looking into this new jutsu of hers. That was a great match. Don't you think, Niji? As Tenten looked to her teammate. Niji nodded at this. Yes, Hinata-sama did well in this match. Amazing, said Minato. I would have never even thought of a taijutsu style like that. I guess this just goes to show you how creative and imaginative the younger generations are getting. Yeah, then said Kushina. I've got to go ask how she did it, to which the redhead was gone faster than Minato's Hiration. Before her husband could protest, that's when he looked around to see something odd. What with all the umbu around here, as he looked to see several of them sitting in the audience as well as standing around the arena. Konoha, arena. Kushina was halfway through the hall leading to the participants area, to which that's when she spotted the young Hyuga. There you are, Hinata-chan. You did great out there. Hinata looked back to see an older-looking woman to which she recognized who the henge was. Kushina-san. What are you doing here? I just wanted to congratulate you on an amazing match you had. But also I wanted to question what that awesome taijutsu was. Can you tell me about it? The pale girl gave a smile and a nod to this as the pair continued down the hall. Thus finding a bench they both took a seat as they talked. It wasn't really much when I first started. But as I continued to practice my chakra control with water, it started to take shape into something I didn't expect. The idea was to be like water. Adapting and flowing, a force that doesn't try to go against aggression but move with it. But truthfully most of the groundwork was already done with Juken, as Hinata scratched her cheek at this. Incredible. To think someone your age would come out with something as revolutionary as this. Hinata blushed at this as she began poking her fingers against each other. I wasn't all my doing. Naruto-kun helped me develop this by suggesting ideas and encouraging me to see this through to the end. Kushina gave a chuckle at this. So my son actually helped, huh? But then giving a Cheshire-like smile, but since we're on the topic of my son, how did you two meet? Hinata blinked at this before giving a soft smile. We met 7 years ago when Naruto-kun found me in the woods and saved me from a bunch of bullies. It was then that we became friends ever since. The redhead gave a chuckle to this. You must really like my son then. At that statement Hinata turned beet red almost to the point where steam was about to come out of her ears, to which the only response she could give was a nod out of fear of stuttering. But to a certain level of response, but. As friends. Ah, how cute. But I better stop teasing her now, as she chuckled internally. Well, I better let you get back to resting. You have another match to get to, right? Hinata nodded to this. Well, I'll be seeing you later then, and with that they both parted ways. Of course Kushina had a ton of other questions she wanted to ask the Hyuga heiress, but she figured they could wait for another time. Konoha, arena, sometime later, upon Hinata's entrance, everyone gave their praise to her win. Amongst the group, it was quite apparent Shikamaru was no longer present, as it was obvious he was in the medic wing probably cheering Chuji up with a bunch of food. But after some time had passed and Hinata was well rested, it was time for the next match. The next match. Hinata vs Sakura, announced Genma. Upon their call both girls wished each other luck as they jumped to the arena below. Now on the arena grounds they both faced each other, readying themselves for the referee's go. Concerning this match, no one really had anything to say about this. For the simple fact was that Sakura Haruno was from a non-prestigious background without any great feats to her name. So no one really expected much out of this match, which easily reflected in the betting pool that was going on. Are you sure you want to bet like that? Asked Kiba. I mean, not to sound rude, but Sakura hasn't got a chance in winning this. I mean, come on, what can she possibly do? I wouldn't count her out, then said Ino. If you knew what I knew then probably you'd be thinking otherwise. Kiba's eyebrow arched at this. Now on the arena grounds, Hinata took her Juken stance as she stared at her pink opponent. Not to sound arrogant, she was confident her ninjutsu and taijutsu was far superior to Sakura in every way. However, she knew better not to underestimate her opponents, as such conceited thinking tended to lead to loss. So in that respect, Hinata fully intended to take this match quite seriously. All my tests show this should work, thought Sakura as she reached back into her ninja bag. I just need to get a sample, then this match should be mine, as she then took out her secret weapon. What is that? Hinata questioned as she looked to the strange weapon Sakura pulled out. On first glance it looked like some sort of strange bladed tuner fork. But looking closely, it seemed to have several sutras inscribed on them to which she couldn't translate. What a strange formula. I don't recognize them. What could it be for? But at Genma's start signal with him clearing the field, Sakura quickly charged in, taking a few swings attempting to cut her. She's definitely gotten faster, as Hinata dodged left and right avoiding the blade. But she wasn't fast enough as she then countered with a palm strike only for Sakura to parry as she continued her assault. I better not push too hard. I'm still not sure what that weapon is. As the match continued as such, Naruto was watching the match with much interest. Hinata-chan is definitely better. But Sakura shouldn't be underestimated at recalling how intelligent his pink teammate was. She definitely must have something up her sleeve after that month of work. What's been happening here? At hearing this voice, Naruto was surprised at who had suddenly decided to show up. It took you long enough, jerk, as he looked to Sasuke. What were you doing? Messing around or something? Shut it, moron, Kakashi-sensei made me late with his constant detours. I just got back to the village now, as the young Uchiha gave off a somewhat annoyed expression. Really? I thought you were chickening out, seeing as Kakashi-sensei was sitting over there, as the blonde pointed in the direction where Guy and Lee were sitting. Sasuke could only sigh at this in annoyance. Can't you tell a Bunshin from the original body, moron? To which right on cue Kakashi walked right behind his Bunshin, flicking him over the head, dispelling the clone before taking his place next to Guy in the seating. Our stupid teacher probably knew we were going to be late. So he sent a Bunshin ahead so he could watch the match when he got back. So looking back at the arena grounds, so what have I missed? Naruto could only smirk at this. I kicked ass like always. Your sorry jerk ass was late, so they decided to skip you for now. Shino won by default, Temari won only because Shikamaru gave up, Hinata-chan won against Chuji, and now we are here. Humph, looks like you didn't get creamed in your first match, smirked Sasuke. But don't worry, I'll take care of that. We'll see, as Naruto was getting excited about his rematch with his friend/rival. But for now they both returned their concentration back to the fight below. Back on the arena grounds, nothing new was happening as the two girls continued their hand-to-hand battle. It still stood that neither of them could hit the other as they either parried or dodged, being careful of each other. But at seeing the progression of things, at this rate I'm not going to be making any progress. I might need to take a hit just to make this work, thought Sakura. So making a rather over-exaggerated move by lunging forward with her weapon, Hinata then half-stepped in, palm striking her in the chest. But in that moment of chance, Sakura pulled back her weapon, scratching Hinata over the hand just at the moment she was forced back. At managing to cut her, she then placed two of her fingers to the tuner fork blade, as it seemed to have been resonating as several sutras on the weapon lit up. Before long, she placed the weapon back in her pouch. What did she just do? Hinata wondered with a quizzical look. Then, feeling her vision suddenly go blurry, she held her head, trying to stabilize herself. Why do I suddenly feel so sick? Then looking to the cut on her hand, was I poisoned? But quickly analyzing herself, it didn't appear to be the case. If so, what is happening to me? Now it's my turn, as Sakura formed a few seals as Bushins began running around, to which she then began her aggressive counter-attack. Now in the audience area, that's odd, said Tenten. With this level of technique, Hinata shouldn't be having any trouble with this, especially with her Byakugan. Indeed, agreed Niji. This should not be a problem for her. What is going on? Which any other Hyuga that was watching also wondered. What is going on? Wondered Naruto at seeing his friend just barely keeping on her feet. Why isn't she fighting back? It probably has something to do with that weapon of hers, said Sasuke. It must have done something to Hinata when she was cut by it, added in Shino. The blonde thought about this carefully as he continued to watch the match. I know all ninja arsenals and tactics are allowed in this fight. But what could Sakura have done at seeing how the pink kunoichi was dominating over the Hyuga heiress? Come on, think Hinata-chan, there has to be something you're missing. Back on the arena grounds, Hinata found it harder and harder to maintain her focus as Sakura was fighting her at every angle. Although they were just simple bush-ins, she was having a hard time focusing her Byakugan on who was real and who was fake. Thinking it over, Sakura-san couldn't have used Kage Bunshin, the seals she used were wrong. But why do they all look real? As she continued to fight back harder, it almost seemed like Sakura was getting faster. It was getting to the point she couldn't keep up anymore. How is she doing this? Continuing to analyze, she wasn't getting any weaker as her state was still holding steady, meaning that it wasn't fatigue that made Sakura seem so strong. But then what was it? I just need to focus on one of the clones and find out, to which she began focusing her efforts. But at doing this something struck out to her as odd. Why aren't the clones spread out trying to flank me? And why are they keeping within exact distance to me, at seeing how some of the clones didn't leave a certain distance from her? But now deciding to go on a hunch, she decided to break off engagement and get as much distance from the Sakuras as much as possible. Then after reaching a certain distance, she saw something, but only for a moment. What was that? Did she notice my trick? Wondered Sakura. I need to be more careful and stay within effective distance for my jutsu to continue working. So giving her bunshins a nod, they nodded back as they continued with the plan. If I just keep this up, I know I can win this. But as the battle continued, a slow theory began to form as Hinata continued to fight. Taking into account everything that has happened, she had a vague idea of what was going on. So deciding to test her idea, she needed to get more distance. So the timing has to be just right. So luring all the Sakuras to one corner of the arena, one of the pink kunoichis came in for an attack, only for Hinata to explode in a puff of smoke, only to be exchanged for a log as she was now on the other side of the arena. I guess my trick is over now, as Sakura looked back to see Hinata looking to her with her Byakugan. I thought so. It was genjutsu after all, as she could easily see the difference between the clones and the original as clear as day. At this confirmation, everything else Sakura was doing quickly fell into place. But the only thing she didn't quite understand was how she was doing it. But then, remembering the cut on her hand, was it from that time before? Looking to Sakura's ninja pouch, she tested her next guess as she sent a clone within 6 yards of her, only for the clone to act strangely before dispelling. Seeing that the cat was out of the bag, it looks like there is no point in putting on these charades much longer, said Sakura as Hinata now stood exactly 7 yards away from her. With only 1 month to train, there was no way I could compete with everyone in terms of strength, speed, or power. So if I couldn't compete with anyone in taijutsu or ninjutsu, then my only route was genjutsu. Then may I ask you kindly, Sakura-san, to how you are doing this? Sakura gave a slight smirk to this. Then wouldn't I be ruining the surprise? But telling you won't change your circumstance, so I don't see why not. At recalling the sweat, blood, tears, and sleep-deprived nights that went into her work, I had to choose carefully at what kind of technique this had to be. Usually genjutsu faces 2 problems, which are method of delivery and duration of effect. But after my first week of research, I wondered, why did it have to work like this? Why can't it work some other way? So with this idea in mind, I created a different delivery method of a low chakra emission field to produce the genjutsu effect. But for the field to work, I needed something more. At looking to her hand, Hinata understood what it had to be. It's my chakra, isn't it? Sakura nodded to this. I discovered when tuned to a specific signal, the field will concentrate itself on that target, amplifying the genjutsu on them, allowing the illusion to work. But once my weapon is tuned to your chakra, there is no way to rid yourself of it. However, she then thought darkly, for my technique to work she needs to be within a certain range, not to mention I have to keep powering my weapon to keep the effect going, as she continued to feel the slow energy drain. I better end this soon, as she charged against her opponent. With Sakura charging at her, Hinata had no choice but to run. I can't win against her in close range. But then what can I do? All her techniques were based on close-range combat. That being the case, her victory pretty much flew out the door already. Wait. There might be something I can still do. But, as she thought about it, I'm not sure I can do father's technique. But seeing it was an all-or-nothing bet, she had to take her chance and try, to which she stood her ground as she began charging chakra into her hand. If I'm caught again in Sakura-san Genjutsu field, it's over. Why is she standing there? What could she be planning? I'll have to figure it out once I get there, as Sakura got Hinata within her 6-yard radius again. It's time I end this, as she came in with a punch. But upon impact Hinata exploded in a puff of smoke. Crap. A clone, to which she turned to see Hinata reappear right behind her. All or nothing, 8 trigrams vacuum palm, to which a vacuum bullet was created as it shot through the air, hitting Sakura, causing impact damage upon collision, which at the same time dispelled all her clones. However, it was not without cost. As Hinata held her arm. Due to her inexperience with this technique, it caused a backlash within her arm's chakra channels, making her arm sting really badly. Please let it be over. However, it was too much to hope for, as Sakura soon stood up. That was one nasty attack, Hinata, Sakura choked out, still feeling the damage. I didn't think you had a long-distance attack like that, or I would have planned for it. But I'm pretty sure at this point it's an even playing field now. She's right. I must have exhausted Sakura-san's stamina with my last attack. But my arm. I shouldn't try to use chakra right now, as she looked at it. The battle will be finished with taijutsu. With that in mind, the two met in the center as they battled it out hand to hand, to which the audience was in an uproar to how the battle was turning out. Go Hinata-chan. Go Sakura. Do your best, cheered Naruto. Sasuke and Shino just remained silent as they watched. But internally they were cheering for their respective teammates. Come on Hinata-san, you can do it, thought Hanabi as Hayashi watched on silently. Go. You two are doing great out there, as Tenten cheered for both girls as Niji just watched on stoically. That Haruno girl is pretty good, said Kushina. This really can be anyone's game. Indeed, agreed Minato. This is going to be really close. As the girls continued to trade shoots with each other, the battle was soon decided. You were really strong, Sakura-san, Hinata heavily breathed out as her legs felt like rubber as she could barely keep her hands up. Thanks Hinata. You were definitely great too, smirked Sakura. Then, after a bit of a stare-off, the match was decided as Sakura fell to her knees shortly followed by Hinata. At seeing this, Genma called the match. The winner is Hinata. With that, an all-about roar of cheers was heard at the conclusion of the match. Well. I did my best, muttered Sakura, disappointed at the way things turned out. I guess I was still not strong enough. Truthfully. Sakura-san. If you lasted a bit longer I would have been the one to lose. Sakura gave a soft chuckle at this. Rematch then? Hinata gave a soft smile to this. Rematch. With that over, Naruto and Sasuke retrieved Hinata and Sakura in respect to themselves as they were taken to the participants' area to rest. You were great out there, Hinata-chan, smiled Naruto, to which his pale friend smiled deeply too. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Sakura gave a sigh to this, that's typical of them. You also did good. At hearing this, the pink kunoichi was in a way happy that Sasuke was acknowledging her strength. Sasuke-kun. After a bit more waiting, it was finally time for the main event, as it was Sasuke vs Gaara, which really got the audience revved up. This is going to be great. Let's see what this Uchiha is made of. Come on. Let's see some more action. It's finally Sasuke's turn, said Kushina. I hope you will be okay, right Minato, to which she saw him looking away. Minato? However, the elder blonde seemed to have his attention directed somewhere else at the moment. Now for the next match, Sasuke vs Gaara, announced Genma, cueing the boys to enter, to which without a moment's notice the Sanjin Churiki was already in the arena. You better get out there, jerk, and not get yourself killed, said Naruto as he looked to his rival. Don't worry, moron, I still need to kick your ass in the next round, to which with that Sasuke jumped to the arena below. Hinata soon stood up as she stood next to her blonde friend. Naruto-kun, I know you have a rivalry relationship with Sasuke-kun. But it's not nice for either of you to call each other names like that. So why do you keep calling Sasuke-kun a jerk? It's kind of complicated, then said Naruto. A little before I met you I got a note on my door telling me to call Sasuke a jerk in exchange for a promise of 7 years worth of Ichiraku ramen. That's still not very nice, Naruto-kun. But it was 5 years worth of free ramen. How could I pass that up? Do you know who sent the note? Naruto shrugged at this. I never found out. When I asked old man Tucci, he said some weird guy wearing a fez just paid him 7 years worth of ramen for me and anyone else with me. Pretty nice guy if you ask me, in my opinion. Besides, calling Sasuke a jerk has kind of become my thing, as he in turn calls me a moron. So it's all good. Hinata could only give a soft sigh at this. Boys. Now on the arena below, the young Uchiha and the Sand Ninja stared at each other as if they were trying to intimidate one another. I'm going to kill you, said Gaara as his eyes reflected an unnatural amount of bloodlust. Sasuke simply grunted at this. If both fighters are ready, said Genma, let the match begin. Now back up in the audience, several individuals were giving each other signal-like nods, to which in the next moment a large explosion was felt. Konoha, residential area, what's going on? Are we under attack? Run for your lives. At this time explosions were going about all over the village as buildings and towers were crumbling to the ground, as both citizens and ninjas alike were running to take cover from the chaos that had just occurred. Amongst this chaos, many ninjas revealing themselves to be associated with Sand and Sound were all over the place, as their grand invasion was now in commencement. Konoha, arena, the signal, said Temari. It's time for the plan to enact, said Kankuro, to which the Sand siblings along with the Sand and Sound ninjas in the audience began their attack. However, as things went, the plan was to capture as many of them alive as possible. The captured could prove useful later on once Konoha was taken over. What is the meaning of this, said Hiruzen at seeing the outbreak before him. Looking about, his current security forces were not enough to hold out against this kind of attack. Most of his main military ninjas were either out on missions, captured, or still needing to react to what had happened. Before he could contemplate his next move, the Kazekage had pulled a kunai out of his sleeve as he lunged for him. Trying to dodge, he soon found snakes entangled around him, pulling him in as the Kazekage held his kunai against his throat. Hello, sensei. You, to which both individuals were soon on the roof of another building nearby. At seeing all the chaos that had suddenly occurred around them, many were struck frozen to this. What just happened? Exclaimed Naruto at seeing the entire village erupt into war. Hinata was completely speechless at the sheer carnage that had suddenly occurred. Oh no, said Sakura. Sasuke-kun. Down in the arena below, the young Uchiha couldn't understand what he was seeing. What the hell is going on? Of course he was aware of the disaster going about. But right in front of him, his Sand opponent was doing something he couldn't comprehend, as apparently he was quickly growing in size to the point he was getting as big as Chuji with his multi-size technique. Then in the next moment it took the form of a giant sand monster. As Sasuke looked to the behemoth in shock, what the hell is that? Just as the monster was about to bring more chaos to the battlefield, up in the sky, if anyone could see or was paying attention, was a giant toad as it lashed its tongue out, wrapping around the Ichibi's neck, dragging it into the air, pulling it out of the village, destroying a few buildings along the way before entering the forest, whiplashing the Sand Jinchuriki as far as he could. What a disgusting taste, said Gamabunta, reeling his tongue and feeling the crunchy sand on it. You'll have some explaining to do when this is over, as he peered up to the old man standing on his head. Of course the henge didn't fool him, as he recognized the chakra that summoned him, which left the question to how in the world he was here now. I'm sorry Gamabunta-san, said Minato. But I'll have to explain everything another time, as he held his watch up, readying himself to teleport back into the battlefield. So please deal with the Ichibi for now, as I'll rally Konoha's forces to push the invaders out. Minato. It's good to see you again. The yondaime smiled warmly at this before becoming dead serious as Minato put on his war face. Thanks, but now if you'll excuse me, Gamabunta-san, I've got a war to win, to which in a flash he was gone as the sand and sound forces had no idea what was coming right at them. Konoha, what a disaster, said Minato as he stood on top of the great walls that protected Konoha. Looking about, the village was a wreck as all the leaf ninjas were busy at the moment just trying to stay alive. Damn, the explosions isolated parts of the village off from each other. The invasion forces were trying to divide and conquer parts of the village section by section, to which he then gritted his teeth a bit. I can definitely push back the enemy, but there is too much to do and I can't be everywhere at once. I need to rally our forces and get things moving in the right direction. He then looked to the arena to see many battles going on as the leaf ninjas that were busy fighting off some lousy odds while also trying to protect the incapacitated ones that were put to sleep in the initial attack. Looking to who was there, a small smirk appeared on Minato's face. I think I know where I should start first. Konoha, arena, this is like a war zone, as Kakashi was fending off 3 ninjas at the same time. But nothing we can't handle, then said Guy as he smashed one of his opponents into the ground. Perhaps, but my worries are more towards everyone else, at noting how some civilians were being taken hostage while other ninjas were having trouble dealing with their opponents. The current enemies were both Chunin and Jonin level, at least, to which they were strong, but nothing special. However, they were still at odds in a battle of quantity versus quality, to which not only were they terribly outnumbered but the enemy got the jump on them. Damn, I don't know what's going on with everyone else. Where are the reinforcements? Just keep fighting and we'll survive this. At this time Lee was trying to fight off the enemy. However, they were easily taking advantage of his crippled state as the young green beast was heavily breathing as both pain and fatigue clouded his mind. Fuzzy brows, as Naruto forced his way through the crowd with Hinata and Sakura. The 2 kunoichis then got into defensive position around Lee with Naruto taking point in front of them. Naruto-kun, said Lee at seeing his 3 kohai. You're injured, plus Hinata-chan and Sakura are still too exhausted to battle. Let me protect you all for now, as he took out 2 kunais, 1 for each hand. Upon his armament, 5 ninjas then jumped up to attack him as he readied himself for the upcoming onslaught. Katan. Great Fireball no Jutsu, as an enormous ball of fire consumed the 5 ninjas as they fell to the ground trying to extinguish the blaze. It was at this time that Sasuke managed to scale the wall and join his teammates as he took out a kunai, readying himself to fight with Naruto. Don't get ahead of yourself, moron. You're still far from capable of doing anything on your own, as he activated his Sharingan. Whatever, jerk. Just watch my back and I'll watch yours. Hinata-chan and Sakura still need more time to recover. TSK, this is going to be a pain. More sand and sound ninjas then arrived as they had completely surrounded the Genin group as they were about to tear right through them. Not good, grunted Sasuke at what his eyes were telling him. Damn it, grimaced Naruto. My body is still feeling ragged after everything that's happened today. I might have to use the Kyuubi's power again. Risk or not, I have to protect everyone, to which at that end thought the enemy then pounced at them. I'm not going to make it, as Kakashi was trying to push back his current opponent to get to them. Even Guy couldn't do anything as the enemy was dog-piling onto him just to stop him from moving. As the silver-haired ninja then looked up, his eyes widened in shock. No. But suddenly several unusual spiked chains made of chakra appeared on the walls and ceiling as they shot out, grabbing the enemy forces as they were pulled back and pinned to the walls and ceilings respectfully to their point of origin. Ah! What the hell is this? This hurts like hell. It's squeezing around us. After a moment, the ninjas that were captured were squeezed into submission as the chains soon disappeared, letting them go, to which an elderly-looking woman soon approached them. I'm going to have to apologize to Minato later for this, as she gave a sigh. Was this old lady the one who produced that technique? Wondered Sasuke at seeing the downed ninjas. Incredible. Whoever she is, she beat 7 ninjas at the same time, thought Sakura in amazement. Kushina-san is so amazing, thought Hinata. Wow, mom is awesome, then thought Naruto. The extreme power of youth, exclaimed Lee at seeing how much power the elderly woman had. 3 more ninjas then appeared as they decided to attack Kushina at the same time. But contrary to their efforts, the redhead Kunoichi easily defeated them with some quick but powerful taijutsu moves. I better take it easy. I am pregnant after all. However, the enemy would not give her a break as more arrived to fight them. As the bigger group was now going to challenge them, Kushina began to weave a few seals preparing her technique. But in the next moment, I guess it won't be necessary, as an elderly-looking man soon appeared as he instantly took out the group. What in the, as Kakashi was wide-eyed to what he was witnessing. Initially he was dumbstruck at seeing the chakra chain technique. But at seeing the old man flashing around the arena instantly defeating the enemy, he was completely mind-freaked. Those techniques. How could they? Who are they? At holding one of the enemy ninjas by the vest, he soon let him go as he fell to the ground unconscious. That's all the enemies here in the arena, to which he looked back to see his wife and son looking to him along with the other genin as they were looking to him in shock to what he just did. He then teleported to them as he stood in front of Kushina. Are you okay? As he took her hand. Yes, I'm fine. Just a bit tired at the moment, said Kushina as she needed to take a seat now. Dad really is an incredible ninja, thought Naruto in admiration at seeing him in action as he easily mopped the floor of the enemy in an instant. Minato-sama is very strong, thought Hinata in amazement. Sasuke and Sakura were still trying to comprehend what they just saw. Although it was similar to what Naruto has done before. Whoever this old man was a lot more amazing in the way he did it. I need you to take refuge at the Hokage monument where most the civilians and non-combatants should be. I'll clear the way, so go now, said Minato. I know you can take care of yourself. But I can't just let you go like this, then said Kushina as her eyes reflected concern. Minato's eyes narrowed a bit as she looked to her, to which his vision then shifted to the still unconscious audience members and then to the leaf ninjas who gathered in the arena below. He then shook his head a bit. This is not the time to be stubborn right now. There's a war going on and I don't need any more concerns to distract me in battle. I'm not a distraction, said Kushina. I can take care of myself. I don't know who you think you are, old man, said Sasuke. But we're ninjas too and we won't simply cower away in a fight. That's right, added in Naruto. Whether you want it or not, we're going to fight too. This is our home, said Hinata. Our friends and family need us now. Even if you tell us to go, we can't just sit on our hands in safety while our comrades are fighting out here. We have to do something too, as Sakura took out a kunai. Minato looked at them as he closed his eyes, pinching the edge of his nose in slight irritation. I don't have time right now to argue this. However, even the smallest nominator can make all the difference in a battle, to which he had to resign himself to a decision he was not going to like since it was going to put his family and the children in danger. Come with me, as he along with the group jumped down below to face the other leaf ninjas. Listen up everyone, as you all should know, Konoha is ground zero at the moment of a major battle. The enemy has effectively isolated the village into sections as they are currently taking it over piece by piece. What we need to do is start pushing them back now while rallying our comrades in order to create a true fighting force. So I need you all to follow along with my lead. What? No way. Who do you think you are, old man? Why should we even listen to you? Minato could only give a sour look at this. I should have figured this was going to happen. He was still unhinged, to which to them he was only a frail old man, but for the most part an unknown power at what he displayed in front of them just moments ago. Of course the idea crossed his mind of just releasing his henge and letting them see his true form. However, that would only bring more unnecessary discord to their current situation, to which he couldn't deal with right now, as it would take too long to convince them that not only was he Minato Namikaze, but he was alive too. "We'll go with you." "So what's the plan?" said Kakashi, to which this earned him his colleagues' blank looks at his unusual decision. At the immediate moment, the silver-haired ninja held the highest rank amongst them, to which he was the highest authority they could look to, seeing that the current Hokage could not be contacted at the moment. Seeing his comrades looking to him funny, he turned about to look at them. "Trust my judgment on this. This man knows what he's doing and will follow his orders to the letter. Do you all understand?" To which the other leaf ninjas looked bewildered at first, but soon nodded as they stood in attention at receiving a glare from the silver-haired ninja. Minato gave a nod to this. "Now we're getting somewhere. Here's the plan. We move as a team. We strike hard and we strike fast. The village has been sectioned off at several places from the residential district to the vending area, while our military area is currently sustaining the heaviest of enemy encounters. Currently the enemy forces have occupied 2/3 of the village. So we'll take back Konoha section by section with a blitz tactic, picking up allies as we go along. However, the enemy lines are still filtering in from the outside when one of their snake summons broke through our walls. So we're going to need to break up into 2 groups, as one party will lead the counter-offensive while another will cut off the enemy reinforcements," to which he then looked to the silver-haired ninja. "Kakashi, I'll need you to take a group with you to hold the line outside. Once I'm finished here, we can work together to repel the outside invaders." "What about us?" then questioned Naruto as his group looked to him. "Escort any strangling civilians or injured ninjas to the safe zones and fight only when necessary." "What? We can't just sit around and—" But then Minato placed his hand on Naruto's head to calm him down. "There's no need to get hot-blooded, kiddo. It is true that you all are ninjas. But you are all still children. I want to reduce how much danger you see." But at looking to the children, he could feel how unsettled they were, as they wanted to fight too in order to protect their home. Looking at the situation, they were most likely not going to listen to him and go off doing their own thing. Plus he couldn't spare any ninjas to make them go. Seeing his wife's insistent look to him, he gave a deep sigh. "All right, fine, just stay behind me and act as support. Do you understand?" to which the genin group nodded too. As the group began to split up, "Before we go," said Kakashi. "Tell me. Are you—" "I'll explain everything later, after this battle is over." The silver-haired ninja paused for a bit as he gave a nod before turning about and leaving with his group. Just as Minato was about to leave, "I don't understand. With your technique you could have easily taken back the village on your own. Is there something wrong?" Kushina questioned as she looked to her husband in concern. He then stood next to her, placing his hand on her shoulder, speaking only loud enough for her to hear. "I've already spent quite a bit of chakra summoning Gamabunta-san. But whoever took Hiruzandano during the confusion must have been rather powerful to pull off a task like that. So I need to conserve as much power as I can." But Kushina-chan, as his grip tensed a bit. "Please be careful. There are a lot of unknown elements running around, and I'm not sure how long Gamabunta-san can hold off the Ichibi. So I'm definitely going to need your help in regards to that once we've taken Konoha back. So please for now take Lee to the safety area and stay there. I can fight too, Minato." Kushina-chan, as his hand went down grazing her stomach area slightly. "It's not only your life you're putting on the line, but that of our unborn sons as well. So please, just for once do as I say." Kushina's expression tensed as she wanted to fight too. But holding her stomach area, she closed her eyes as she gave a slow nod. "I understand," as she soon walked over to Lee, slinging his arm over her shoulder as she began walking them both to the safety area within the Hokage monument. At seeing this, Minato faced the rest of the group. "All right, first things first, quickly awaken any ninjas that were put unconscious. Konoha, Exterior forest, I don't know how much more I can take, cringed Gamabunta as he looked to the giant sand tanuki. He may be just a one-tail, but his power is still extraordinary, to which he then reached for his sword. I might have to take this battle more seriously. What the hell is going on, wondered Gaara as he could feel his blood pulsating at the intensity of this battle. Why won't you just die, as he shot out a couple of sand bullets at the boss frog. In retaliation Gamabunta countered with his water bullets which neutralized the Ichibi's attack, which created a large pulsating force felt by all around them. Quickly following up, he swung his sword through the dust storm that was created, to which the sand tanuki caught. Gaara then commanded his Ichibi form to swing his tail around to attack. But seeing the danger, the boss frog shoved Gaara forward, narrowly dodging the tail attack as he soon kicked up using his powerful legs to kick the sand tanuki away, getting distance between them. Hurry up Minato. I don't want to be doing this all day. Konoha, rooftops, not bad sensei, sneered Orochimaru. It would seem even old age haven't weakened you that much over the years. Hiruzen focused his eyes as his former student extended his tongue as he began to draw out a sword from the snake's mouth. At seeing this, the third Hokage cut his thumb as he slammed his hand against the ground. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, to which in the next instant a humanoid monkey in ninja garb appeared wearing a leaf headband. Old man, said Enma, king of the monkeys, as he took a quick look around to assess the situation. Orochimaru. I guess it really has come down to this. Yes, old friend. It would seem it has. I won't tell you I told you so, but... It's fine, but now I must pay for my mistake, to which Enma could only give a sad nod too as he transformed into the adamantine staff as Hiruzen got into guard stance. As the snake Sannin took his attack stance, he stood ready to take whatever came his way. Old friend, this might be the last battle we have together. Orochimaru quickly dashed in with a joust, to which Hiruzen parried and countered as the exchange between both ninjas appeared pretty even as the two continued their bout. Ku, if it were years ago you would have had the strength to still challenge me. But now, you are far too weak to put up a real fight. As they battled, Hiruzen analyzed his surroundings to see what kind of advantage he could get. But it quickly became apparent that he had none, as it was an open environment with no terrain advantage. Even retreat was not an option, as the two of them were encased in a giant violet-like force field which created this death match situation in the first place. Of course the source came from the four ninjas that produced the field. However, they too were being protected by the ominous energy shield. Although he could have tried to bust through it to attack one of them, his former student would not give him even a moment of time to try. Seeing his former teacher tire a bit, the snake Sannin jumped back as he looked to Hiruzen. Now, I can't have you dying on me yet, sensei. Not until I show you the surprise I had in store for you, as he quickly began to weave his seals. Upon finishing it, Kuchiyos, Edo Tensei. Konoha, Residential District, Hinata-chan. Get down. To which Naruto with both hands quickly formed a Rasengan, blasting the enemy ninja away. Naruto-kun. Look out, as Hinata struck her opponent in the stomach with a chakra-infused palm strike which easily floored the sound ninja. Seeing an enemy on opposing sides of each other, the Hyuga heiress jumped up as she back-rolled off the blonde Jinchuriki, kicking the sound ninja as Naruto went for a straight punch with an uppercut finisher to the other opposing enemy. Looking to what just happened, the blonde looked to his pale friend with a smirk. Looks like we make a great duet, ha Hinata-chan. Yes, she smiled as she got back into her stance, followed by the blonde. At this time, the current progression was slow but gradual. Recently they were successful in taking back a huge chunk of the residential area. Along the way, they managed to pick up a lot of allies as they were now becoming a strong fighting force as they were beating back the invasion. If this rate kept up, they would have Konoha back in no time. Chidori. At hearing this attack, Naruto looked to see his Uchiha rival as his left hand was crackling in electricity in the form of a blade as he smashed right through one of the enemy's defenses. As his defense wall crumbled, the sand ninja freaked as he turned to run. But at his retreat, he was quickly killed by his own comrades as 3 ninjas jumped in place of him. At seeing this, Sakura then dashed in with her special kunai, cutting the 3 ninjas before they could react as she kicked back, raising her weapon as it began to shine, to which the 3 sound nins began to wobble in disorientation. At that opening, Sasuke jumped up, roundhouse kicking the 3 ninjas at the same time, knocking them out. Looks like they're doing pretty good too, as Naruto ran to him. That's a pretty cool technique. Kakashi-sensei taught me it. Put me through hell just for me to stabilize it. Now stop talking, we've got a fight to win. Just don't fall behind, jerk. Hinata then looked about as she noticed something rather urgent. Where did Minato-sama go? But out from the enemy lines many shouts could be heard. We're being overrun. Hold the line. Blow the secondary charges now. At that command more explosions occurred, to which the apartment complexes they were fighting it began to crumble all around them. Run! Get out of the way! The buildings are collapsing on us. Come on! Move it! At seeing the crumbling debris, both enemy and allies quickly staggered in order to avoid getting crushed. However, in doing so, the formations of both sides became scattered. Damn! What the hell are they thinking doing something like that? To which Naruto looked around. Oh no! What? Asked Sakura as she was at the moment coughing out dust along with Sasuke. Hinata-chan. She's not here with us. Across from another sectioned-off building, the Hyuga heiress found herself in a rather unfortunate situation, as her area was predominantly full of sound and sand ninjas with very few leaf ninjas to fight back, as they were backed up against a destroyed building with her. Not good. Konoha, military area, we're getting completely overrun. Where are our reinforcements? Medic. I need a medic over here. Push them back. We can't let them take this area over. For the few ninjas in the area were barely holding the line, as the enemy were not only numerous but strong as well. Damn it! We can't hold out like this. God! We need a miracle. Konoha, gate area, this is insane, said Kakashi as he had his Raikiri technique in his hand. There seems to be no end to this madness, as the sound and sand nins continued to come at them in endless waves. That's not the only problem, then said Guy as he finished off his current opponent. Aside from holding these guys off, there is a giant snake summon running rampant inside the village. If no one deals with that, it's going to cause us a lot of damage. All we can do now is just last until the backup finishes with what they're doing. So suck it up and keep fighting. At that statement, the leaf ninjas got back into formation as they prepared for the next wave. Konoha, rooftops, how did it come to this? Questioned Hiruzen as he at this time was barely able to stay on his feet as his opponents were beating him to a near inch of his life. Orochimaru had done an act of pure desecration at performing his forbidden jutsu. The jutsu he performed was the second Hokage's impure resurrection, which brought back the dead to serve as slaves to its master. Who the snake Sannin brought back were the last people he'd ever want to fight. For the opponents were not only the founders of Konoha but also former Hokages themselves. Hashirama-sensei. Tobirama-sensei. As the fight went, he was becoming dominated as he had no time to counter or strategize, as all he could do was run and dodge. Mokutan, as Hashirama formed a seal as long sharp branches began to chase Hiruzen as a miniature forest began to grow around him. Suetun. Water Dragon Bullet no Jutsu, announced Tobirama as a dragon-like form stream of water came flying at his target from an opposing angle. Seeing the incoming collision, Hiruzen jumped back, avoiding both attacks narrowly as they clashed, creating a shockwave which sent him crashing into a tree behind him. He then grunted at feeling the sheer intensity of the attack. Ku, I guess you're done now, sensei, as Orochimaru motioned his hand forward, ordering the 2 Hokages to finish off their former student. As the 2 former fire shadows went in, Hiruzen tried to quickly pick himself back up with his staff while trying to keep his eyes open. This might be the end, he grimaced. Just a few feet away from reaching him, I'm not going to make it. Double Rasengan. The third Hokage's eyes widened as apparently a much older-looking man than himself had suddenly appeared in front of him, saving his life as his technique blasted the two undead Hokages away. Those techniques. But it's... You can't be, as Hiruzen was feeling speechless towards the impossible event. Even the Sound Four who were watching couldn't understand how the old man got into the force field. Minato kept his back face to Hiruzen as he maintained focus on the current enemy. I'll explain everything once this battle has been concluded, Sandem-sama, and I'm sorry for my late entrance as I wanted to take the time to analyze the enemy. So please rest for now as I'll take them on. Orochimaru at witnessing this event was shocked speechless as his overconfidence was suddenly shaken. You. Who the hell are you? Minato looked to the snake Sannin in indifference. I'll be fighting both Hashirama Dano and Tobirama Dano. This fight is going to be rather difficult, so I might as well let my henge go, to which in a puff of smoke he returned to his original form. For this battle was going to be intense and couldn't have any distractions concerning who he was fighting. As the smoke cleared, the snake Sannin's eyes were wide like saucers to who stood before him now. Impossible, exclaimed Orochimaru in outrage. This is just impossible. There is no conceivable way you can be here. Everyone who saw this was in a state of shock as they couldn't believe, let alone comprehend, how Minato could even be there. Even some of the Leaf Ninjas who were watching this match needed to rub their eyes to make certain this wasn't some kind of genjutsu or something. Orochimaru was still feeling the shock as Minato stood before him. He refused to believe what he was seeing. Aside from his technique, there was no other way a dead man can walk again. But finally getting his wits back, get him. Real or not, he had two Hokages on his side who were the strongest ninjas of their time, to which he refused to be intimidated. Especially not when victory was so close in hand. At seeing their approach, the elder blonde clipped his pocket watch's hook to his pants as he then dashed forward to fight them. Getting enough momentum, he flew up with a flying side kick, knocking Tobirama back as Hashirama came at him with a hook to which he blocked. Finishing his swing against Minato's arm, the elder blonde went into a spin, flying back, coming to stop sprawled on the ground. Quickly getting back up, his opponents quickly resettled themselves. Hashirama Dano. Your strength was definitely no exaggeration, as he felt his arms slightly numb from just taking his attack. And Tobirama Dano. There is no denying how powerful you were at your prime. But, as certain runes on his watch began to glow. That just makes me want to test how I stack up against my idols, to which in the next instant he was gone as he appeared between the brothers, kicking them both at the same time. But at their counter, they both missed as Minato reappeared beside them using Rasengan against Hashirama, which followed with him back kicking his brother. So this battle went as Minato would attack, the undead Hokages would regenerate, then counter, they would miss, and then it was rinse and repeat. True that the two Hokages were powerful in every way. But something crucial was removed from them, and that was the ability to think. Without the capacity to plan or strategize, the two undead leaf ninjas were simply fighting based on instincts which were no better than how a lowly animal would fight. But that did not make them any less dangerous, as Minato soon found himself captured in one of Hashirama's techniques. As Tobirama came in for the kill, Hiruzen jumped in, smacking him across the head with his staff as he flew smack dab into his brother. I'm okay now, Minato. I can still continue fighting. Hiruzen Dano, I have an idea. Do you think you can stall them for a few seconds? Yes, I'll do what I can, for there is still life in these old bones of mine. Thank you, to which Minato began to quickly weave through a few seals. Doing as he promised, Hiruzen had his staff transform back to his original monkey form as they fought against their opponents head-on. No, 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 as Orochimaru was furious to how things was turning out. This battle was supposed to be in the bag, as he would have his former teacher backed into a corner, as he would then have his fun toying with him before eventually killing him. However, the unexpected interruption was ruining everything. The yondaime can't be here. There just can't be any way. He has to be some sort of imposter or clone. There is no way he can be here. Unless. No. There is just no way. Hiruzen Dano. I'm done, exclaimed Minato, to which both the monkey man duo cleared the way as Minato Hiraition in front of both Hashirama and Tobirama, slamming his hands into their face as the two Hokages began to act strangely. Slowly removing his hands, circular seal were clearly written on both of their foreheads. You interrupted my seal, as Orochimaru was now trying to regain control over them. Taking this time to breathe, Minato, Hiruzen, and Enma saw the two brothers rubbing their faces as if they were awakening from a dream. Hashirama looked to the men in front of him as he gave a bit of a quizzical look. Sarutobi, that young man next to you. Who is he? Hiruzen looked to him before closing his eyes for a moment as he looked back to his former teacher. His name is Minato Namikaze. My replacement and the fourth Hokage of Konoha. A youngster like this taking on such a big role, as Tobirama gave a slight chuckle to this. Even though we were under a seal, we could still see what was going on, to which I do have to say you honor the title of Hokage well. You were even able to interrupt the seal that controlled us. Well done, boy. You have done Konoha proud, Hashirama then added. Hashirama Dano, Tobirama Dano, it is truly a great honor to be able to meet you both as the proud shinobis you were. However, I wished it were in better circumstances, said Minato as he bowed his head to them in respect. The two brothers could only nod to this. They would have liked to talk a bit more until they were then interrupted by the one who summoned them. How? Screamed Orochimaru as he kept trying to re-establish his control over the Shodaime and Nidaime. How did this happen? Everything was so perfectly planned. How can something like this have happened? At that statement, the four Hokages plus Enma stood side by side to each other as they looked to the snake Sannin. You forgot something important a long time ago, Orochimaru, said Minato. Something that each of us leaf ninjas have always been taught since the founding of this village, said Hiruzen. It is something you have tried to extinguish. However, its blaze will never go out, said Tobirama. And that is the will of fire, then said Hashirama. Konoha, gate area, is there no end to this? Kakashi cringed. Did you call for reinforcements? The silver-haired ninja looked back as relief began to spread across his face as Asuma, Kurenai, Enko, and several other Jonin-level ninjas appeared and were ready to jump into the fray. This doesn't look like fair odds, said Kurenai. Yeah, then said Enko as she licked her lips. They don't stand a chance. Konoha, residential district, we can't hold out any longer. Pull back. There is nowhere to retreat. Hinata was exhausted now as they could no longer fight the overwhelming odds. As the enemy was about to jump them, their rescue soon came. Hinata-sama, said Niji as he took his Juken stance. I am here to protect you now. Let me in on some of that action, said Tenten as she summoned twin riot clubs. Geez, we finally managed to clear our side. I hope everyone is still okay over there. Naruto-kun. Hinata chimed at seeing her blonde friend along with Sasuke, Sakura, and several other ninjas appear as they began their next battle. Hinata-chan, thank goodness that you're alright. How did you clear out your side so fast? There were so many enemies left in your area. That's because all the clan leaders just showed up and are getting some real but kicking in. Elsewhere in the village, all the clan leaders were getting to work as they were easily making the difference in their areas. Konoha, northern residential area, get him. He's only one man. He doesn't stand a chance. Kaiten, called Hayashi as a giant sphere of chakra emerged, striking all the enemies away. As the sphere dissipated, don't underestimate the power of the Hyugas. Konoha, southern residential area, you idiot. What are you doing? It's not me, as the enemy ninja was attacking his comrade. What the hell? Why can't we move? Ah. These shadows' arms are reaching around my neck. Retreat. Retreat. We can't take something on this big. Looks like a reunion of the Inoshikacho trio, huh? Smirked Shikaku as he stood alongside his two friends Chuza and Inoichi. Konoha, Western Residential Area. The area was quickly being cleared as the Inazuka clan and Aburame clan made a joint effort to purge all the pests from the district. Hey you! Stay away from my dogs, yelled Sum as she soon ran off to another fight. The stoic bug ninjas just looked to her blankly as they always did as they then looked to her daughter. Forgive my mother, said Hana. But Kuro really doesn't like fleas. Konoha, Vendor's Area. Civilians were still running about during the confusion which made it complicated for the Leaf Ninjas to restore order as the situation escalated in havoc. During this confusion Hanabi got lost and bumped around a few times while trying to get to the safety areas. But at seeing some enemy ninjas approaching, she had no choice now but to fight as she was slowly backed into a wall. As one of them came at her with a kunai, hey! Heads up! As Konohamaru dropped from the building above landing on the man's face as he grinded it to the ground. What's up short stack? Did you just see what I did there? Aren't you thankful I came to rescue you? I had it covered you stupid monkey. But tell me what you're going to do about that, as she pointed to two more enemies that were now approaching them at dangerous speeds. I'll tell you what we're going to do, as he grabbed her hand. We're running. To which they hauled but out of there. As they ran from the two chasing sound ninjas, they found themselves passing right by a lady that was walking towards the danger. Oi! Nei-chan! That way is dangerous. As the two sound nins leaped to attack, their legs were soon encased in ice which weighed them down like cinder blocks halting their movements. Slowly the ice began to grow upwards as the two ninjas began to panic openly about the situation they were in as the ice soon reached their necks. Konoha is my home now, said Haku as he looked dangerously to them. And you will not take my home from me. Wow Nei-chan, as. Kono's eyes were wide in amazement. That jutsu was awesome. However Hanabi just plainly looked on as she then looked to Konohamaru. Why do you keep calling this person Nei-chan? Because she's older and a girl of course. The young Hyuga couldn't help but feel slightly amused at this. You do know that she's a boy, right? That's a boy. Kono gaped as he pointed to Haku's retreating form as the ice ninja continued to fight, freezing every enemy in his way. Konoha, Military Area, take that snake down. It's wiping us out. We need our backup now. At this moment, the giant three-headed snake was tearing up their area as the ninjas around it were fighting like hell just to subdue it. But even with their best jutsus, they weren't even making a dent in its scaly hide. Summoning. Food Cart Destroyer no Jutsu, as an explosion of smoke appeared from high above, to which in the next instant a giant frog appeared with twin swords on its back as it came down for a crash landing, smashing the three-headed snake to the ground upon re-entry. The great Jiraiya has arrived, declared the albino-haired man as he stood on his frog summon's head giving his signature pose. Jiraiya-sama. Konoha, Military Area Prison Section, what the hell is that? Asked one of the sand nins as he stepped back in fear. It feels unnatural. What a bunch of pansies you all are, said Zabuza as he slowly exited his cell with an unconscious sound ninja in hand while carrying his sword. It's pitiful enough that Konoha can't repel a bunch of second and third-rate losers like you. But it's even more pitiful that you louts decided to disturb me on such a nice day, as he began releasing a ton of killing intent which began to really scare his opponents. Now who wants to die first? Konoha, Park Area, what the hell, as Temari began to struggle. Let go of me. Would you quiet down, yawned Shikamaru as he managed to recatch the dirty blonde after a slight standoff. You lost fair and square, and by the looks of the situation your invasion is practically sunk as well. So if you don't mind, I would like to sit now, as the shadow ninja took his seat at the bench, to which Temari had no choice but to follow. Not too far away, Shino had just finished his match. Damn you. Kankuro barely breathed out after having all his chakra drained. I'm still hungry, said Chuji as he continued to eat his chips. Aw man. I can't believe I missed out on all the action, said Kiba pounding his fist in his hand. Well, at least things are stabilizing now, said Ino. Konoha, rooftops, it's over now, said Minato. Konoha has already beaten back your invasion. So surrender quietly or prepare to be taken by force. No. I refuse to allow it to end like this. Orochimaru exclaimed as he began charging more power into his seal, which caused Hashirama and Tobirama to hold their heads in agony. At the very least. I'll kill both you and Sensei. Don't give in. Fight it, said Enma at seeing the pain the Shodame and Nidame were in. Minato. Is there anything you can do? Asked Hiruzen as he looked to the elder blonde. No, this is the limit of my seals. It's all on willpower now. But there is someone in the village I know that can do something, and I know she's been watching this entire time, as he created a cross seal. The third Hokage could only raise his eyebrows at this as he had no idea who it could possibly be. But as that person teleported in, Hiruzen was once again shocked speechless by who it was, along with everyone else who knew her, as their eyes were wide like saucers. You know me too well, Minato, said Kushina, as all the blonde could do was sigh to this as he knew his wife wasn't going to listen to him. The redhead then wrapped the two undead Hokages within her chakra chains to hold them steady as she began to prepare her seal. After a moment, she slammed them both on the stomach as they soon fell silent and unconscious on the ground. This is just absolutely impossible, as Orochimaru was now about to blow a blood vessel while gritting his teeth. There is just no conceivable way you can be here. Why is he getting all bent out of shape for? As Kushina looked to him in slight confusion. The snake Sannin looked between the pair as his scientific mind couldn't understand this at all one bit. Feeling his rage boiling over at this impossible event, you can't be here. You're both supposed to be dead. At that remark, Minato could only look on wide-eyed as his wife now stood there silently at hearing the one thing he didn't want her to know. Kushina-chan.
That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.